All right, for the task we have today, we'll be using the function, the sum function, the if function, the average function, and the if function. These are the 4 functions we'll be using today to generate a report sheet for student report sheet. Okay, let's go now. So I've created a simple data set of student performances in different subjects: mathematics, English, science, history, and PE. So we're going to see how we look at the total score, the average score, and see how we calculate their grade. All right, let's do that. Now, the first thing we'll do is to select a cell here, because here we want to calculate the total score for each of the students. So we have 11 students, and we have their scores for different subjects. So we'll start by, so we want to get the total score for each of the students. So we'll enter equals to sum, then we select the first one, hold down our shift key and our right arrow key to select the rest and close the bracket, hit enter. So this will calculate the total score for this student, Alice Johnson. So how do we get the total score for the rest of the students? So we can come to this bottom right corner, hold our left mouse key and drag down to calculate for the rest of the students. So Excel will automatically calculate the total score for the rest of the students. So that's how we can use the sum function to get the total scores for all the students. So the next thing we want to calculate is the average score, because the grade will be based on the average score. So how do we calculate that? We do select the first cell and press equal to, then begin to type average. So we are using the first one. So we select the first one. Then we'll come here, pick the first cell, the first score of the first subject, and select. So mind you, you are not going to select the total score. So you just select each of the scores for all the subjects. Then you press enter. So this is the average score gotten by Alice Johnson. So I'm going to do the same thing I did for the total score to get the average score for all of the other students. So these are their average score. So now, how do we get their grades? So we want their grades to be in A, B, C. All right, A for anybody that's scored above 70. Then B will be for someone who has scored between 60 and 70. Then C will be for someone who has scored between 50 and 60. And D will be for somebody scoring from 40 to 49, right? And anybody scoring below 40, that person will get an F. So how do we do that? There are 2 ways you can do that. We can do that by using the if function, and we can also do that by using the if function. So let's do the one with the if function, then we'll do the one with the if function. So the if function now first, you select the first cell here, press your equal to sign and type if. So we select the first one. Now, this function is asking us to impute our logical test. So what's the logical test? Is that this score is greater than or equal to 70, because we said that any student that scored between 70, from 70 upward, will get an A. So 70 and above will get an A. Or we can even change it to 80. 80 and above will get an A, but let's keep it at 70. So that is the logical test. And then the second argument will be value if true. So if the student scores something from 70 to 100, what should be the value to be returned? So in this case, put your comma, the value we want to return is an A. You select an A, put an A there. So make sure the A is in double inverted comma, because that is how Excel recognizes a string or a text. Let me put it that way, a text, all right? So the next thing will be, if we put a comma here, it's asking us value if false, but we are not going to put any value here. What we'll do, we'll put another if condition and select this, and that we are checking the condition for a score greater than or equal to 60. So if the score is between that range, so what should be returned? We want B to be returned. Then we check again for a score greater than or equal to 50, greater than or equal to 50. If that is true, we should return a C. Then we check again for So we select this. You select this greater than or equal to 40. All right. Select that greater than or equal to 40. What if the value is true? What is it going to return? It will return a D. Return a D. Okay. What if the value is false? What if the value is false? So at this point now, the value is false. Going to return an F. All right. It's going to return an F. So I'll close the bracket. And we have how many brackets open? We have this first one here, this second one, this third one, this fourth one. So we are going to put in 4 closing parentheses here, 4 closing parentheses, and hit enter. So this one is getting an A, and then we just drag down for the rest of the students. So this is how we calculate the grades for all the students. Then there is one thing I noticed here that the grades, there is no an E for the grade. So what I'm going to do is I'll go to the first cell, just going to edit the formula a bit. So change this one to 80, change this one to 80, this one to 70, and this one to 50, because we want to get an E, this one, to 60, then this one to 50. Then in this place, instead of putting an F there, we'll do another if statement and say this one greater than or equal to 40. So if that is the case, what should be returned? It should return an E. All right. So if that is not possible, it should return an F. Then we'll close this one as well and hit enter. So we have gotten the grade for all our students now. So if I now go back, so as you can see, we have students scoring A, okay, for any score greater than 80, then B for any score between 70 and 80, then D for any score between 50 and 60, all right, and all that. So I want to do something here. Let me just change one of the scores and see what it will look like. I want to see if there will be a C there. So I'm going to change this one to, let's say, 60 and see. So it's still B. Let me change it to 56. Okay, it's still a B. Let me change this one to 60. Right, we are getting a C here. So this is how you apply the if function, all right, to get all their grades. So I also did mention that there's another way of doing it, and that way is to use the ifs function, all right? So let's demonstrate that now. So we want to demonstrate how we can use the ifs function. So what I'm going to do is to remove this one that we created, and we're going to demonstrate how to use the ifs function. So press equal to here when we have selected the first cell and do ifs. We want to select the ifs. So it's asking us the first logical test 1. We select this, and what's the test? Is that the value in the cell must be greater than or equal to 80. So put a comma. It's asking us what should it return. Exactly, it's asking us what should be returned if the value is true. That's why you have this value if true. So the value if true will be an A. Okay. So in this case, we are not going to put multiple ifs. We just multiple ifs. So we just use a single ifs and continue like that. So we are not going to use nested if as we did initially. So nested if is an if in another if. So that's what we call nested if, an if in another if, okay? So value if true, we have imputed that there. So it's asking us again, after imputing this command, for the logical test 2. My logical test 2 will be this value greater than or equal to 70. So what should be returned? I need a B to be returned, okay? Need a B to be returned. It's asking me for the third logical test. I'll select that greater than or equal to 60. So I want a C to be returned, Then I'll select that again, greater than or equal to 50. So I want a D to be returned. Then I'll select that again and do my logical test. And then greater than 40. So what do I need to be returned? I want an E to be returned if a student has scored anything from 40 to 50, right? Anything from 40 and below, anything above 40 and below 50, that's an E. Okay, so if a student is not scoring below that, what should be returned? So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to put the last logical test, which is this. Okay, that will be less than 40 because that's the last thing. So if it is less than 40, we want it to return an F. Want it to return an F, then we'll close the bracket and hit enter. So we've gotten the grade for the first student. And as you can see, so using the if formula, if function rather, it saves you the stress of putting in many closing and opening and closing a lot of parentheses. All right. So what I'm going to do is to double click on this and we'll get the grade. All right, we'll get the grade. So let me see if I change the scores of this student, whether we'll be able to get an F. Let me change the score of this student to 40 and see. So the student is still at D. So let's change this one to 40. Okay, it's still at E here. So I want to see whether you'll be able to get an F. Let me change this one to 56. Okay, so we've got an F here. So that is how you can apply except functions, average, sum, if, and ifs to prepare a report sheet for the student report sheet as you have done here.